he could, after his little toilet break, decide to go back to his original path, and it'll be great fun to see him clambering up this tree. Now that the sun is dipping below some clouds and beginning to drop lower down on our western horizon, it is becoming considerably more nippy, and apologies for the shaking around. I'm just trying to get my jersey on. I would hate to get flu before I go on leave tomorrow. One thing I forgot to mention is that Jamie's here, who's on interview. She's a wonderful lady, and you'll all meet her tomorrow when she does her assessment drives. So don't be shocked to see her. She'll be doing both the sunrise and sunset safari along with Brent in the morning. And I think James will be back tomorrow afternoon. So if any of you have been missing James, don't worry. He should be back in time for tomorrow's afternoon safari. This is a knobthorn tree that he's approaching now, and it'll be interesting to see what he decides to do here. Wouldn't it be wonderful to know what senses or what sense he's picking up with his very sensitive nostrils there? It could be anything really. Squirrels having clambered up and down that tree, other leopards having scent marked on this tree. But something certainly caught his attention there. There's a very faint golden glow poking through now onto him. Absolutely beautiful. You see, that's a phlegm and grimace which will help him to process the sense that he's picking up there better. So it's an extra sense of smell gland called Jacobson's organ, and by flaring his lips like that, it opens up that organ on his upper lip to better process smell. Now he's looking up into the leadwood tree, which is where he left these owls earlier on this morning, and he is now continuing on towards it. What will he do next? I'm hoping he's going to climb up it for us. There's a very strong chance he's going to try and climb up this tree, so be ready to get your screenshots. I'm getting my camera ready. He's looking up at it expectantly. And what will he do next? He chased a little, was hoping to chase a little starling there. Isn't this a beautiful sight? Him sitting at the base of this wonderful leadwood tree. And I'm guessing he's going to hop up at any moment, so get ready with the screenshots. Hopefully he jumps up from this angle. It's equally vertical, this tree, so it was always going to be a gamble to see if he did clamber up it, because it doesn't appear to be an easier side for him to ascend from. Absolutely beautiful. We're getting spoiled here, everyone. Will he take it to the next level and climb up? another reminder is that there are apparently some owls that live in one of the cavities in this tree. I haven't seen them. That is why he has come back here. He was here this morning. I guess he's hoping to have a second attempt at trying to catch one of these owls. It's a small owl, the barn owl, not as big as the Verreaux's eagle owl, which is another owl that we see more commonly out here, and it probably lives somewhere in that cavity that you can see now. Not sure what he's seen. He seems very focused on something behind us, but again, it could be a bird or just about anything. Absolutely beautiful. What have you seen in there, young Sindile? I think every little bird and animal that flitzes about is catching his attention, and he doesn't know which one to pursue. Well done, Andrew, and apologies for that small view of one of our antenna ropes holding up the vital piece of equipment that ensures this broadcast gets to you all around the world. Wasn't that fun to see him bounding off towards whatever it was on that termite barn? There could have been some dwarf mongooses, or possibly the tree squirrel that was alarming at him. Here he goes. Isn't this awesome? He's definitely in a playful mood. And what is he after now? This is such great behavior to see, and because he is left alone by his mother, it allows him these opportunities to teach himself how to hunt. And there's no better way than learning by doing the hard yards yourself. And look at how delicately he was padding and climbing up into that bush. All, again, vital practice for when he does need to look after himself one day. Again, I'm going to reposition because we're not going to see much from there. And I wonder what his next move will be from here. Looks like he's getting himself into a bit of an awkward position in this tree, so be ready for some funny shots of him getting tangled up in this tree. Well, I've only seen him climb down a tree once. I mean, this isn't really climbing down a tree. He's just in a little bush, but he certainly has a long way to go on his descending from trees. It's not a very pretty sight. But he shouldn't have any trouble with this little bush. Now, if it was a dwarf mongoose that he was chasing, it's probably scurried into a little burrow or hole. And if it's a tree squirrel, it's probably hiding as best as it can in the foliage of this tree. But something's in here that has drawn his attention to this bush. And let's wait and see if we can find out what it is. I'm just going to reposition again. I think he will poke his head out of that bush. Just got a question through from us, either Gail or Dale, I'm not sure which one. And you would like to know that what is the difference between our humans' eyesight and the eyesight of that of a leopard or a lion? And in terms of their ability to see further than us, I'm not convinced they can necessarily see much further than us. They do have very good general eyesight though, but what the major difference will be is that their nocturnal vision is far greater than ours. And what that means is they've got more rods than cones in their eyes, and we would therefore have more cones than them, which are good for color vision, but not for night vision. So they will not see in as many shades as we do, so essentially probably in a black and white spectrum, but it'll give them the incredible ability to be able to see in the dark. So that is where the biggest difference will come in between our eyesight and that of lions and leopards. Like I said, I don't think they can necessarily see too much further than us. It wouldn't provide them with any major advantage being able to see huge distances, because they've got other senses like smell and hearing that will help them alert themselves to prey, and they do need to be very close to prey before they can chase it down. Thanks, Gail, for sending that through. And we may get some incredible shots of him up on this termite mound as the sun begins to set. And look at him running off playfully. What's he running after? I don't know. Oh, some Franklin! That was awesome. He may have just heard them erupt as we got close to them, but this is absolutely awesome. Seeing this youngster playing about this afternoon. Oh, sorry about the bumps. Sorry, Andrew. Well, where did he disappear to now? I think he's actually stalking us. Maybe not. No, he's not. Wishful thinking, Scott. Wheels turning and getting a little bit inquisitive, so I'll stop the car to prevent any further investigation of our vehicle. And again, we would prefer him to be relaxed with our presence, but not see us as a part of his entertainment. And that way we can remain a healthy relationship between human and wild animal. It's hard to believe that this is a completely wild animal, but with the correct protocol and the correct guiding behavior, you can have these bizarre relationships with wild animals in that they respect us for who we are and we respect them for who they are, and that way we can be allowed an incredible insight into their lives. Such a naturally shy and elusive animal. The behavior that we are all witnessing this afternoon is not common of leopard, and only in certain areas where many, many hours have been spent with leopard will you be allowed these kind of visuals. And aren't we all so lucky to be in a reserve with incredible leopard sightings like we're having this afternoon? Okay, well, we shall continue following him and see what he gets up to next. I hope you all enjoying this as much as I am. This is a real treat, and what a great way to spend my last afternoon here, as I'll be leaving tomorrow for 2 weeks. For those of you who may have joined the show more recently and haven't heard that update yet, Good afternoon, Betty in Virginia, and welcome on board with us. Becky would like to know if this youngster would try and take down any larger prey that its mother may try and catch. And yes, certainly steenbuck and duiker, I think he would most certainly try and latch onto. But there's no confirming that, and the only way to find that out is if we actually get to see it happen. But I wouldn't be surprised if he did. Well, good morning, Alice in Ohio. And Alice would also like to know another hunting-related question, and that is, would impala feel threatened by this young leopard? And yes, they certainly would, because he's not too much smaller than an adult female, and whenever they see an animal that resembles a leopard, they are going to get a very big fright. And if he was half the size that he is now, they may be less concerned. But even then, I think if they ever see a flash of spots, they will react the same way, just to make sure they don't come unstuck. So I think impala would certainly alarm and react to this leopard just as they would in adults. You're going to reposition again as he is slunk out of view. I think he's going to go up this marula tree, so try and be as quick as you can, Andrew. He came running up to it, and he has now stopped, looking very intently like he's about to start clambering up. So again, be ready with your screenshots. He appeared to be chasing after something. I couldn't see what it was, but he was trotting through the grass, interested in some animal. Now I'm hoping he's either going to climb up this marula tree that he keeps looking up, or continue on towards a very large termite mound, which is just in front of our vehicle, which will provide him a very good vantage point. But as you can see now, he's listening intently in the direction he's facing, and possibly whatever it was that he was chasing has scurried off in this direction. twice as much food. So it will make the mother's job easier. Of surviving. Oh. I'm just going to try and work out what he's doing here. Well, I think because he is lying up in a thick bush at the moment and we can't see him very clearly, we're going to link across to Brent and get an update from him and see what he's up to. And we'll keep an eye on this leopard, and I'm sure with his current behavior, it's not going to be long before he darts off after something else. And we'll call you back as soon as that happens. See you later.
Welcome back, everyone. I hear you've been having a wonderful time with Sindile. Very, very jealous, but great that you guys are getting to watch. We have been searching high and low for anything, but we haven't had any luck yet. I went to go double check that area where Djuma's been seen. As if, the regulars know, he is my favorite leopard. We are just outside one of the hyena dens now. I thought we'd just come have a quick look, see if there's anything here, and then if not, we might try get to some high ground to try capture this wonderful sunset. Oh, my big feet stuck in cables again. I can see, looks like a cold front coming in. Not so much fun. For those of you who might have logged in a little late or just joining us, or might possibly be new viewers, welcome on the Sunset Safari. Oh, we've got some impala in the way on our way to the hyena den. So you're on a live African safari. You're joining me on the back of my vehicle, and very excited to have you all with us. At the moment I'm going to look at the hyena den. Unfortunately, it's not looking too promising. There's not many traps on the road, but you never know. And I'm pretty sure, as fat as she was looking, she might have given birth by now, so it'd be really great to have some new cubs around. But this is not looking too promising. So guys, keep your eyes out. Sometimes the adults like to lie in the bushes, so look out for ear flicks and whatnot. There's a hyena. I don't see a youngster yet, but there's an adult here. And there is a young one suckling as well. Whoopsie. Sorry guys, haven't seen you in so long. You've forgotten what we look like. So there's the cub. It's amazing, we've followed them from when they were tiny little black balls, now to miniature versions of the adults. You can still see there's quite a bit of dark on the belly, and she looks like she's very full. So I'm going to keep quiet. You can hear the high-pitched whining. And that's a bit of begging for milk. So I think she's going to lie down again. Oh, look at those teeth. There we go. And who says begging doesn't work? So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to engage the car into low range. So it means the engine makes a lot less noise, and I'm going to move much slower, and I'm going to try and get around to the other side of them, so we can see the suckling. So for those new viewers, I know the old viewers know this, I always like to let the engine run for a little few seconds, see what happens sometimes, especially if they haven't seen us for a while, so they get used to the noise so they don't run away. So let them relax, let them get used to the noise, realize we're not a threat, and then I'm going to move away a little bit. Sorry about that, guys. There we go. Creates a little bit more space so she feels a bit more comfortable. We haven't been around the den sites for quite a while because they just haven't been active. So we're just going to let her move, and we're going to give her a bit more space and come around. Oh no, she's going to oblige. We don't have to move around. So I'm just going to give her a little bit more space. She's not as relaxed as some of the other females, and we can still get a really nice view from here. So it's great to actually see them again. Just hang on, I'm just going to let the other game drives know that the hyena den is active quickly, and then I'll be back with you. So if you are new, remember you can ask us questions, and we are live looking at a female hyena suckling her cub, and really, really special to be able to see this almost secret parts of the animals' lives. And you can ask us questions about what we're seeing, and you can do that by emailing us at questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Thirsty. Sorry, there's a lot of radio chat on the Game Drive channel at the moment. I'll be back with you guys in a sec. So you can see now we've given her a little bit more space. She's relaxed. These cubs that are about 5.5, 6 months old now. Such an incredible species. One of my out here in the bush, the females being physically much bigger than the males, and the lowest ranking female is still higher ranking than the highest ranking male. Hi, Christina from Pittsburgh. Welcome on the Sunset Safari, Christina. Christina would like to know if I've ever seen a hyena give birth. Christina, they give birth in those holes that we were just looking at. Phil's going to show you now. So there's a couple of chambers in that this termite mound, and they probably were excavated by Aardvark, and the hyenas have taken it over. I know this den the hyenas share with porcupine from time to time, but they all take over excavations that were made by Aardvark. So they give birth under the ground, so I have never seen hyenas give birth, and the earliest I've heard of cubs coming out of the den is about 3 weeks, but normally closer to a month when they first start emerging. But also, Christina, quite interestingly, when we're talking about hyena births, hyena youngsters practice something that's called Cain and Abel syndrome, or siblicide. So what happens there is that, and it's quite interesting, it only happens if you have two of the same sex in the youngsters born. So if there are two males or two females, the firstborn will kill the other within a few minutes of being born, and that is so they don't compete for the same social status in the clan. And hyenas have quite a complex social structure compared to other animals. So very interesting that. Let's see what's going on with them. There we go, she's relaxed a little bit, popped her head down. Hi, Ashley from the UK. Welcome. Nice to have you with us, Ashley. Ashley would like to know how many hyena cubs are there. Ashley, at the moment, I know for sure there are 3, but that could change, and there is quite a high mortality rate with young predators, and we have seen these youngsters very far from the den site with the adults at a leopard kill. Quite recently, they only survive with 2 born when it is in captivity and humans remove. Now there's a crested francolin actually walking up to the hyenas, and they'll be a bit too fast for the hyenas to even think about it, but if the youngster wasn't so hungry, he might definitely chase them for fun. Hi, Joyce from New Hampshire. Welcome, Joyce. Joyce would like to know, are hyenas part of the canine family? Joyce, they are not. They're part of the hyena family. So they're their own family. They're not related to canines at all, and if they were, it is in a very long time in the past, millions of years ago. But as far as I know, they come from a completely different branch of the evolutionary tree. So they are not related to canines. A lot of people say they're more closely related to cats, which is not entirely true. Their closest relations out in Africa are probably closer to the mongoose family. So, but they are their own family. And there comes a question for you guys from the quizzes from earlier. There were quite a few answers. Some people wanted mammal quizzes, some people wanted trees, and since we're here at the hyena den, I think mammal will have to suffice, and hyenas in particular. So I got a question for you guys. How many different species of hyena are there? So we have a question from Jewel in Western Illinois about how tall a hyena is in feet and inches. Jewel, I'm afraid I live in the metric system here in Africa and I have not a clue, but what I will do is try figure it out for you from centimeters. Unfortunately, I have a very non-mathematical brain, so you're going to have to give me a few seconds to work that out, Jewel. Maybe film those. How many feet or in a meter, or how many inches? I have absolutely no idea.
2.6 inches in a 5.8 feet or 2 meters. 5.9, 6.
Sorry guys, we're trying to figure it out here, but it doesn't seem like I know roughly what I am, so I'm going to try to figure it out from that.
I think 1.98 is 2 meters.
Oh, it sounds way too confusing to me. There we go.
6'2" is 2 meters.
No, it can't be, because I'm 6'3" and I'm 190 centimeters. So obviously it's a good thing Phil's a cameraman and I'm a safari guide, because maths is not our strong point. Just give us a second guys, we'll try to work something out.
I normally shoot in feet, or is it in meters? Measure feet, measure meters. And measure feet and shoot meters.
Well, thank you for the voice in my head. It is 35 to 75 inches at the shoulder. Sorry it took us so long to get there. Obviously maths is definitely not our strong point. Very thirsty little guy. And it looks like when we saw Mom standing, she was very, very full. So she's obviously either had a successful hunt or she's been harassing the local leopards and stealing their kills. We did find that hyena drag mark that went on for about 4.5 kilometers the other morning. But last place we had it was very close to this den site, but the track of the drag didn't come all the way to the den. And pretty sure that was stolen from a leopard, because we had female leopard tracks in that area as well. But very interesting. Thank you for making a complete clown out of us, Jewel, with the feet and inches and centimeters and meters. Well, hopefully I have to go home and study my metric conversions this evening.
No, the hyena more than 6 feet away from us.
Yes, the hyena definitely more than 6 feet away from us.
So I only got 2.
Hi Lenny from Arizona, welcome. Thanks for joining us on the Sunset Safari. Lenny would like to know, do hyenas always use disused dens or crevices and rocks and stuff that are already there, or do they ever actually make their own den? Well, Lenny, hyenas generally always don't make their own den. They will use something that's been there for a while. Apart from disused aardvark holes, which is the most common, specifically in an area like this where we don't have a lot of rocks. But in Tanzania, I've found hyena dens in caves and crevices and rocky outcrops. And also I've known of hyena dens in the northwest of South Africa that are also in rocky outcrops and caves. So normally, I've never heard of them excavating their own dens. They will always sort of take over. Obviously, there is some excavation that takes place by them, but the majority of the excavation is done by geology or aardvarks. So they're not moving too much today. And it sounds like we've got some answers coming on for how many hyena species. So, we've got a few answers in. Some people say 3, some people say 4. Well, there's 4 in the family, but only 3 actual hyena species in Africa. There's one called an aardwolf, which is not a true hyena. It is a member of the family, but not a proper hyena, and they eat mostly termites. But I'm just going to get next to go with the names again. Ashley, Matt, Crystal, and Rosie. Well done, guys. So there we have obviously the spotted hyena, which is the one who's next to us that we are looking at. We have the brown hyena, which occurs in the very arid areas of, at the moment, of South Africa. And actually not too far from here there's actually some brown hyena. I've actually photographed a brown hyena den probably less than 50 kilometers from here. Very, very different social structures and hierarchies. And there's the aardwolf, which is part of the family, but it's not actually a hyena, and that feeds off termites. And the other member of the hyena family, the striped hyena, looks very similar to this. It's quite a lot bigger, and there's far more it's got more traditional hyena shape with the sloping back and a lot more stripes on it, the striped hyena. Those only occur from northern Tanzania northwards. But so these are the 2 that can possibly occur in this area. I've seen brown hyena apart from that den site actually in the Timbavati Game Reserve, not very far from here, but very, very uncommon in this area because the spotted hyenas outcompete them. It doesn't look like there's much more happening with those guys, so I think we'll move along, and I will just do what I did when she was a little bit unrelaxed. I'll start the vehicle and I'll let it run for a little bit so she gets used to the sound of the vehicle. There is a before she's relaxed. Okay, let's go see what else we can find. Thank you, Mrs. Just watch the aerial there, Phil. And down and whooping with joy, as they are by far my favorite animal. But if they did, how long would they stay in that den for? Well, quite interestingly enough, they will have multiple den sites that they probably have pre-decided before the female will give birth. And the reason for that is that once a den gets sort of very heavily full full of parasites like fleas, they will move to a den site where there's less fleas, so less irritation. But they will stay in a close area for about 3 months, sometimes a bit longer, but at about 4 months the young wild dog pups are ready to run with the pack. About 3 months, and it is possibly the most exciting time if you are lucky enough to be in an area that's got a wild dog den. One of the areas I grew up, I was very lucky. We had wild dogs denning for 10 years in a row, and if those of you have watched some of the sunrise safari the other morning, in those years I may or may not have damaged a few vehicles, but you got to keep up with the wild dogs. And just to reassure everyone, the reason the Wendy is sick is not because I was chasing wild dogs. It is a pre-existing problem that has just got a little bit worse. But she'll be all good and better very shortly. But she is still fine to drive. She just has a little bit of a cough when you start her. From Arkansas, welcome. Ellen would like to know, does the time of the year and the temperature dictate a hyena's choice of den site? With the right sort of burrows and stuff that they can excavate and has enough hiding space for the youngsters, but I wouldn't say that the temperature and whatnot has that much dictation on the choosing of a den site in this area. And as I always say, animal behavior, a lot of it is area specific rather than species specific, and we mustn't just put them into a little box, because as soon as you do that, they will surprise you and make you look like a monkey by doing something you've just said they're never going to do. So guys, I'm gonna love you and leave you and hand you back over to Scotty, who's still with Sindile, and we'll be back with you a little later. So enjoy your time with that beautiful young male leopard, and we'll see you a little later.
Welcome back, everyone, and as you can see, we are still with this beautiful young male leopard, Sindile, and he's just beginning to emerge from the thicket that he took shelter in for the last half an hour or so. And I am quite jealous that you got to spend the afternoon at the hyena den site with Brent. You even got to see the cubs suckling, so that's really great to hear, and great to know that they have moved back to that old den site of theirs, and now we know where to find them. So well done to Brent for sorting that out for the last half an hour. And he can obviously hear something rustling around in the leaves. You can see this leopard is very intently focused in front of him. but their senses are just so much better than ours that it's hard to pick up on exactly what they are hearing and sensing. Absolutely beautiful. I love it when he gazes up into the trees. There's something about it when they tilt their head back like that I really love. Also when they look at birds flying over. There's something about them staring up into the sky that appeals to me. It's been a wonderful evening sitting here waiting for him to emerge. There's been a lot of bird song and oh, I think that was just a little playful leap. And we're off. Now it is going to be a little bit tricky as it begins to get dark in terms of filming and the spotlights and lighting them up. We need to be as sensitive as possible, and there may be a point in time where we feel that we need to turn the lights off, so that's just a friendly warning. These may have gone up the termite farm that he was heading towards. No, not there yet, but he's on his way there, and it will be absolutely awesome if he climbs on top. He's just on the left-hand side now. You'll be able to pick him up vaguely. No, there he goes again, off to the left. So he has enjoyed his little siesta and now is full of beans. Let's just wait here and see if he doesn't come bounding around the other side of this bush. Oh, here he is already around. Well, what a way to spend an evening, or whatever time of the day it is where you may be watching. But this is absolutely awesome. And I'm so happy to be sharing it with you. Oh, a little pounce. I'm not sure what that was all about. I think his hunting is going to be fruitless this evening if he carries on running around like this, but Matt in Texas, we're just going to reposition quickly. Matt in Texas would like to know what Djuma and Quarantine would do if they came across Sindile. Would they kill him? I think there is a strong likelihood that, yes, they would kill him, but it's impossible to be sure. Oh, he is really running about, which is going to make viewing him a little bit difficult. And I'm almost tempted to maybe just get one more view of this leopard and then leave him alone and let him carry on with his evening undisturbed. When we are using spotlights, we are having more of an impact than we would be during the day, as obviously we're illuminating them. Not to a degree that it can cause them any major harm if it's done correctly, but I just feel because we have been so spoiled already this afternoon, let's just take one last look at him. And then say goodbye. So yes, Matt's in Texas. My conclusion is that I am You can never be certain what will happen, but I think that they could well kill him if they got the chance. Where is he going to head next? Looks like he could be climbing up. Oh no, there he disappears off into the shadow as well. We're going to leave these last glimpses of his spots drifting off into the bush as our last view of him. It's quite thick in there. And like I... Okay, well... No, I need to try and find my way out of this little maze we've got ourselves into, but certainly worth getting lost for a wonderful sighting that we've just saw. While we get ourselves out of this little mess and I work out where I am, I think it might be a good opportunity for me to try and save face and avoid this tricky situation that I've got into, and rather send you over to Brent and he can update you on how his evening's been. So enjoy what he has in store for you. I think I've just seen something up ahead there, so let me just double check in the meantime. That will be a fallen down tree. Well, let's continue. I'll take you on this joyride for a little bit longer, but I think I'm actually going to reverse in order to try and avoid doing unnecessary bundu bashing, is what we call it, Archer, and that means driving off in the bush. The bundu is the bush. It could well be a word used in other countries, but I'm not too sure. The bundu bashing adventure. Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoy what Brent has to update you about, and we will catch up a little bit later, hopefully when we're back on the road. See you then.
Welcome back, everyone. As you can see, we're sitting on this beautiful crest. The sky behind us is on fire. As I was explaining last night, all the dust and that at this time of the year creates the most spectacular sunsets. So we're gonna head on. Got my spotlight ready. Hopefully you can find some of the smaller, more interesting nocturnal creatures we don't see too often, and maybe even something bigger and scarier. Who knows? As you can see, as we get closer to solstice, it's getting darker earlier. It gives us that slightly better chance of finding some of the smaller, interesting, more nocturnal mammals that we don't see too often on the live drives, like genets and civets and white-tailed mongoose, bush babies. And of course, along with the night, it's the time of the bigger predators to get moving, so you never know what might be around the next corner. Oh, I think I spotted something. Look. Oh, just a duiker. Duiker can be quite confusing in the spotlight. They're about the same height as a female leopard, and they have got very cat-like movements for an antelope. And the reason we don't stop for a duiker and other antelope species at night is because they can be blinded by the spotlight, and what that does is it makes it a bit easier for the predators to get them, and obviously we don't want to interfere in what happens, so that's why we don't shine on your predominantly diurnal species. Tina from Washington State, welcome on the Sunset Safari, Tina. Tina would like to know, what is the difference between a rabbit and a hare, and does it have something to do with the raising of the babies? Guys, you might have noticed I just turned off my lights. There's a little nightjar on the road. I was waiting for him to fly off. There we go. Tina, you are spot on. It does have something to do with the raising of the young. A hare is precocial and a rabbit is altricial. And what that means is that, like the word precocious, a hare baby is born as a miniature version of the adult, able to run within a few minutes of birth, whether a rabbit's babies are born naked and with their eyes closed. Oh, a little Stenbock here. So we won't shine on him or her, him and her. There's a duiker and a Stenbock next to each other. That's unusual. Not something you see every day. Sorry, back to the warren to feed them, whereas a hare baby will live out in the open and just keep still in a patch of bush or scrub to hide from predators. So that is the main difference between rabbits and hares. And it is very unusual for that type of species, animal like a herbivore or prey species, to be altricial. Generally it is the domain with mammals of the primates and the predators. So if you look at humans, monkeys, baboons, gorillas, chimpanzees, and then you look at lions and leopards, hyenas, and your smaller predators, serval, caracal, all of them have to do some kind of nurturing of the youngster before it can be released out into the wild, so to speak. Whereas if you look at an impala, for example, which is another good example of a precocial species, even though they will stay with their herd and with their mother, they are able to run within minutes of birth, and they are miniature versions of the adults. So we're going to sneak down to the waterhole in front of Gallagher Camp. I got a report from Aubrey that just before you went on game drive, he heard Nyala barking a lot in this area. So generally that coming up to where that water hole is now, so we're checking very carefully. You never know what might be around the next corner. Ariel. There we go. Oh, another nightjar on the road. It's a good thing I eat a lot of carrots. Down here at the little water hole. I think we'll continue on towards the Gowrie Dam Cam. From New Jersey. Welcome on Sunset Safari. Eric would like me to comment on the use of white light spotlights versus spotlights that have red filters on them. Eric, a lot of that has to do with personal preference. There are some places in South Africa that also use red light filters. I've worked at both. I personally don't believe it in the animal's eyes, but I have seen lions shine the spotlight into the animal's eyes directly, but will bounce it off the ground in front of it. And in a lot of the reserves here, the animals have literally grown up with this. So it is one of those difficult things where to show everyone the wildlife we see there. Are you ready for? There's a bush baby in the street. Where do you hop now? There he is. So, no spotted cat, but we have found a bush baby. I'm just going to try and get into a position where the camera can swing up. Is that too steep? Oh, he's just hopped. Where did he hop to? I took my eyes off him for a second. He's just gone behind the branch there. Just hang on, I'm going to turn the light on and off. Oh, there he is. Okay, let me just move forward a skosh. we go. You got him there? You can see his tail. There we go. Oh, and jump. There we go. There he is. Oh. There you go, a little lesser bush baby or South African Gallego. Wonderful little nocturnal primate. Can be quite ferocious little predators as well. This looks like he's in a dead knobthorn. Farm gum almost, and they'll have certain trees. In particular, in this area, they do like the knobthorns, like Acacia nigrescens, and they will chew on a certain spot, forcing the tree to produce gum, and they do feed on that quite a lot in this area. It's probably with a higher tendency towards the winter months, when there are less insects around. Oh, it looks like he's coming down closer to us. He's being very nice, this little guy. Get ready for the big jump. It's about to happen. Whee, boom. Oh, and gone. And far gone. Okay. Well done, Phil. Nice camera work. There we go. We'll let him. Oh, there's another one. Yep. So they're probably. Oh, there's on the bottom there. The funniest thing you will ever see in your life is a bush baby on the ground, though. As great as they are, and you see them leaping around in the trees. Oh, there's lots. There's about 5 or 6 now. Oh, I can't see all of them. Let me just try to turn around quickly. Good work, Phil. And what happens is they literally look like they're completely out of their depth on the ground, and they look very, very strange. They sort of do this long-legged walk, sort of hopping on their back legs. And I was on safari with a friend of mine. We're driving on the reserve where my parents live, and she's an ex-guide, and she's guided for about 10 years as well. And we literally were in absolute hysterics, and she nicknamed that particular bush baby Maurice, the very uncoordinated little lemur from Madagascar. Let's see if we can find them. I think they might have made a speedy getaway. I did see eyes for a second. Nightjar. I think they've escaped. But they gave us such a wonderful little display there. That was incredible. So guys, while we continue our nocturnal endeavors, we are going to have a look. Ah, there we go. They're moving off now. But while we continue our nocturnal endeavors, we're going to pass you back to Scotty, see what he's been up to, and we'll see you a little later. Wasn't that fantastic? But we'll have fun with Scotty, and we'll see you later.
Welcome back, everyone. And it sounds like you had an incredible sighting of a bush baby with Brent. So very happy about that, because they're such cool little animals. And isn't it remarkable how they can just spring effortlessly from branch to branch, such huge distances. So it sounded like a lot of fun. We haven't seen much on our way back, Andrew and myself. It's been quite a lot of thick bush that we've been driving through. and haven't been lucky enough to spot a bush baby as you were with Brent. But what an afternoon it's been, and really I'm happy to not see anything else this afternoon or this evening after the incredible moments we all got to share with Sindile. And I hope you all enjoyed that as much as I did. I think it might be worthwhile to stop and listen just for a moment or two. At this stage of the evening we could hear the sounds of leopard, lion, hyena. Just a few moments ago we did hear some hyena calling, but that's when you were enjoying the sighting of the bush baby with Brent, so we couldn't squeeze you onto both vehicles simultaneously. But right now it's a very still evening, and we're not going to be seeing too many stars if it continues like this. There's a fair amount of cloud cover up in the sky, which is uncommon for the winter's weather. Typically we have cloudless blue skies and very, very starry nights, especially at the moment when the moon isn't up for the early hours of the evening, so there's no light pollution from anything, and with the really dark skies we get to see incredible scenes of the Milky Way and all the constellations above us. Okay, well, it doesn't sound like anybody shall be singing for us this evening, or at least not right then. So let's mosey on and see what we can find. The only thing that could top this afternoon's drive would be if we were to see a honey badger. And that would be really wonderful. It's an animal that I've seldom got to spend time with, and would really love to have another sighting of one. And just a reminder to all of you that Jamie will be doing 2 drives tomorrow. She's a wonderful, wonderful lady, and she's got heaps of experience, so I'm sure you're all going to enjoy going on safari with her. And Brent will also be out in the morning in the other vehicle. And I'm going to be heading off on leave after tomorrow morning's drive, along with Nikki, and Tara is back from leave today, so she's going to be taking over the director's chair. Ashley from the UK, and I'm happy to hear that you're one of our newer viewers and have sadly yet to see monkeys or baboons. Don't worry, Ashley, just keep tuning in. We will see some monkeys, I can guarantee you of that. Baboons, a troop came and went from Djuma in the 7 or 8 months that we've been here, and I have been seeing tracks of one lone male. We actually also did have a glimpse of him the other day, so there's one lone baboon that you could bump into at any stage on Safari Live. But the vervet monkeys are around, so just keep tuning in and you'll get lucky one day. Maybe Brent and Jamie will head out tomorrow morning in search of a troop of vervet monkeys for you. They really are great fun to watch, and they are. Big thank you for jumping on board with myself and Andrew this afternoon. We got really spoilt with that sighting of Sindile, and you also got some great action with Brent, the elephants, hyena den sights, and the bush baby at the end. So what a day it's been. And from myself, and big thanks to Andrea and Nikki and Tara and Eugene and Final Control, and we'll see you all in 2 weeks. Have a good time. Welcome back,
everyone. We, after the bush babies, unfortunately no sign of any leopard in that area, so we're just gonna meander up towards the quarantine clearings, see what's happening there for the last few minutes of drive. Hi, Ginny. Ginny's got a mammal question for us. Thanks very much for your question, Ginny. Ginny would like to know, are eland the largest antelope? Yes, they are, Ginny. We've got 2 species of eland in Africa, although there's quite a lot of deliberation among some people who think there's a few more subspecies, but as far as my knowledge of the sciences, there are only 2, which is the southern or Livingstone's eland and the Lord Derby's eland, which occurs in Central Africa. But those are both those species can reach over a ton, over 1,000 kilograms. So, it's been absolutely wonderful having you guys all with us on this privilege to be able to take so many of you on safari and share our passion and our love for the African bush with you. Sorry, I just got shouted at. We do have lovely ladies in camp, but just not out on the game drives. Thanks very much for joining us, and we'll see you all on the Sunrise Safari. Have a wonderful evening or morning wherever you are in the world, and thanks again for joining us.